Welcome back to a KickNPost YouTube video. Half the collaborative today, just me. We've been giving you guys a lot of mock drafts, specifically the early round strategy that we've been dropping for Superflex. You guys love that video. It was to prepare for this draft that we're about to be doing, but unfortunately, unplanned circumstances, it changed to a single QB league, which we will have already have had our single QB mock draft dropped, middle round and late round strat, which come to find out is pretty much what's going to be me and Otto strat in this real league draft. It is our big money redraft league that we're in year to year. $600 league, so $350 to the winner, $150 to second place, and we're throwing in a little bit of extra league dues to get us a belt, championship belt. So we've given you guys a lot of mocks, but this is us putting our practice into action with a lot of the stuff we've been preaching on these mock drafts. It'll be interesting to see what guys think, where guys' minds are at in this draft. Otto made a move pre-draft to acquire the 1-4, gave up the 1-6 and the 2-5, and acquired the 1-4 and the 2-7. I haven't been able to really make any moves lately. The draft is roughly slated to be started in 2 minutes, so we'll see how this all goes. I'll be breaking down if I think the people at the top are making decent moves, or I think the people at the back end are making decent moves, how I like my draft, how it's been breaking down for me, if it actually works out how I plan it to. I'm not a huge fan of the 1-5, so it will be pretty difficult. And I do feel like I will stray away from my strategy a little bit, depending where players fall. I'm not against taking a high-end tight end in this kind of format, which goes against everything I usually preach for drafting, running backs early and often. But yeah, in about 2 minutes, we'll get into it. But to fill the time, as of recording, UCF plays Boise State in 2 days. Yes, UCF, 2021 American Conference champions. Book it. I know everybody's on Cincy's bandwagon since they played well last year, looked decent in the bowl game, but it's our year. If you like making money, bet UCF to win the American Conference, and definitely bet UCF to win on Thursday. They're probably going to cover the spread against Boise. I'm not even sure if we're favorited, but I'll have to check on that. But to get into it, we're about a minute out, so we'll see. We'll see how it goes. Should be pretty interesting. They're doing a Zoom call, but because I'm recording, I won't be hopping in the Zoom call. I'll let them know that it is not a part of the plan today. Sorry, boys. I got content I'm producing. All right, let's get back to it. Draft should be a go in any moment now, actually. We should be getting this thing started up. Also, since we're doing this in its real life, we'll be updating how our rosters are doing throughout the year. Probably drop a week-to-week update, record, how did our teams performed, who we're targeting on the waivers, who's getting targeted on the waivers, player injuries, team suffering injuries, trades, trade proposals, what we liked, what we didn't like. Ton of content to come out of this, so definitely stay tuned. I would like your support though on seeing whose roster you prefer more. So after the draft is completed, send us out some comments, hit us with who you think roster looks the best out of all the people on board, but definitely who wins out of me and Otto in terms of roster. So 1-1 single QB, of course Christian McCaffrey goes off the board. We got Cade Green. Shout out to Cade, last year's winner of the league, at the 1-2. Dalvin Cook, easy pick. Dave, 1-3. Alvin Kamara, easy pick. Otto acquired the 1-4. He already told me what the plan was. I think he's going to put that in motion. Hit Derrick Henry at the 1-4. It's taking him a minute because he's also drafting at work. So that's why he's not here with me also on the video. But with him having to hit the work struggle, draft at work, might take a little bit of extra seconds for him to hit his pick. But everything he told me acquiring the 1-4 is he wanted King Henry. So it leaves me a dilemma at the 1-5. I have a guy like Zeke out there. I have a guy like Chubb out there. I have a guy like Jonathan Taylor out there. So I have a decision to make because I am hitting running back, no doubt. But it's all about who I prefer here. And I'm going to be honest with you. I am a little bit worried about Jonathan Taylor's volume and also how that offense is going to look. It sounds like it's going to be Jacob Eason week 1. There's not much continuity between the starting quarterback on that team right now. He's been out a lot. So for redraft purposes, I'm really high on Zeke going into this year. So I think I'm going to go ahead and, something I don't usually do, I'm going to hit Zeke at the 1-5. Ooh, voice crack. Hit Zeke at the 1-5. And then Nick, who switched picks with Otto, I've been led to believe is going to take JT with this pick. I guess he preferred JT over Derrick Henry and the value he could get at 2.5. Don't hate the move. I think both guys get what they wanted out of that deal. And now we're just waiting for Nick to make his pick. Ooh, big surprise. I thought he was going to take JT. Okay. Aaron Jones is a solid pick at the 1-6. I am worried about his goal line touches. I know everything has been leading to them working into A.J. Dillon, playing a little bit more, splitting touches with a guy like Aaron Jones. So I am a little bit hesitant on that. But at the 1-7, depending what Kev's plan is, he could fall into a Nick Chubb, a JT. He might reach for a Saquon, who I feel like you should be waiting a little bit on based on them saying his volume is going to be a little bit down. But who knows? He might just go all out. Nope, running back. So everything's going pretty consistently for how a single QB league shapes up. So we're at the 1-8 currently. See how this turns out. JT hits the 1-8. We got Rob at the 1-9. I feel like he's going to hit running back as well. Guys back here that I am a fan of, I do like Saquon at the 1-9. I feel like that's enough waiting for him. But he goes Eckler first. So it's interesting to see if Mitch will be able to grab a guy like Saquon at the 110 and then stack him with another running back, or if he's going to be looking at wide receivers. So far, all the picks are looking pretty consistent with what I would suggest at this point in time. So let's see where we're at. This league has been usually pretty, okay, so Mahomes goes off the board at the 110. Not out of the realm of the, and Travis Kelce. Okay, so it looked like he's going to be attempting to go 0 RB or something of that sort. This works out perfectly for me because coming back, I'll have a guy to target. Actually, I don't like any of the guys back here. Hopefully I can land an Antonio Gibson late or a Najee Harris late, something like that. But right now, I'm not liking my options back here at the 2-6. This is another reason I'm not really a huge fan of the middle rounds, but I'll pivot. We'll see how this turns out. I'm really liking Roberts' stack right now, Eckler and Gibson. I feel like those are two potential top 6 guys. The Mahomes-Kelce stack in a single QB league, I get that it's 6 points passing touchdown, but I don't know if I'd necessarily reach for no RBs at this point in time. But as we went over in a couple mock drafts, there's a lot of ADPs that haven't been adjusted. Rob's super excited about his pick. You'll have a guy like James Robinson to target in the back end rounds. You'll have a guy like Gus Edwards, a Daryl Henderson in the 5th, if you like that. Sony Michel really late. Chase Edmonds has been a favorite of a lot of people who waited on running back. You also have Damian Harris late. So we'll see how the strategy pans out. Right now, I'm not sure how much of the draft I'm going to cover. I'm going to try to cover the whole thing, but based on time and how long it takes people to make picks, I might have to just cover the first 6 rounds and come back with like a last 6-round coverage. Devontae Adams and Saquon off the board. So that helps me out a ton. I get either a Clyde or a Najee. For sure. I could go ahead and hit David Montgomery too if I wanted to, but I will not be targeting David Montgomery. But with two wide receivers going off the board, I get to target one of my favorite picks for volume. I haven't acquired him on any teams yet, so this is the first team he'll be on. And welcome to the team, Najee Harris. I feel like the volume will be insane. It looks like Big Ben looks good in training camp and in preseason, and I feel like he'll provide great balance. The offensive line isn't what it's known to be, but I'm willing to take the shot on the volume, and I'm okay with those being my starting running backs. The formation of the roster is QB, two RBs, two wide receivers, a flex, a tight end, kicker, and defense. So I'm completely okay with that. Otto follows his model and goes for his wide receiver 1 at the 2-7. I don't hate that at all. But again, not really my strat. I'll wait till the 4th, 5th round to start picking up my receivers. But maybe based on how the draft is going right now, who knows if I'll have the time to just flat out wait on that. So we'll see. Hopkins goes off at the 2-8. Okay. Redraft, of course, so I'm not hating the pick. Tons of volume for Hopkins, elite receiver. Nothing's like crazy out of the realm of ADP yet. Everybody's kind of like following a good system. I think a lot of these teams are constructed very well. Again, I build from the running back out, so the 110, I would have loved that position so that I could stack running back a little bit closer. But the two running backs I ended up with, I'm not upset about, and I'm surprised at what happened there. But those are two top 2 level talents at their position, so I can't really be upset at that. We're at the 2-10. Joe Mixon just went off at the 2-9, so okay to stack the 2 running backs. And we'll see if Matt does something similar with what's left. I think Clyde is a good shout right here. If he wants to go quarterback, Josh Allen is definitely going to finish top 5, in my opinion. I think it's too early for that. DK out here is a very popular pick, which usually he's off the board at this point, but, with it being a thinner running back pool, I feel like this year, that's also potential for why he's still out there. His ADP is 17th, so goes to show that he's kind of out of his ADP. He did hit Clyde, which I think is a great pick. And will he come back around with another running back or wide receiver? That's what I'm interested to see. It'll be really interesting. Side note, the loser of the league last year, Nick, has a punishment to do, and if he does not complete that punishment, he loses his 2nd round pick. Right now, it's presumed it just goes out. He won't be able to be accessed or used by anyone, and his 2nd round pick was Tyreek Hill. So that's a big blow to his team if he doesn't complete the punishment, which is to run a fitness account on Instagram for a week. I love that pick, but to take him over Kittle, I'm not too sure. We'll see if that starts a run of tight ends, because I was hoping to get an elite level tight end, and I'm not going to reach for a rookie tight end. And if I don't get the tight end I want, I'll be targeting more of a guy like Rob Gronkowski or Robert Tonyan late, going late tight end with it and just stacking my running backs. There's one running back that ADP hasn't really adjusted, and if he makes it back around to me, I will be targeting him here at the 3-5, because again, I like a monopoly on a position that has scarcity, and I feel like a guy like James Robinson is going to have a ton of volume, and the offense is going to be a little bit better. They're going to have to cover receivers a lot more. It's supposed to be a generational talent at the quarterback position with Trevor Lawrence. So, of course, it's wait and see, but I'm really high on a guy like James Robinson this year. I do believe they're going to force Carlos Hyde into some touches, but it's not on the realm of possibility that James Robinson could finish top 10 again, and he's getting drafted top 15, top 16, so the ADP hasn't adjusted. We try to take advantage of those opportunities, especially in money league drafts. So we're at the 3-3 with Dave. He's got his wide receiver 1, his running back 1, and it'll be interesting to see which position he stacks right here, or if he moves the pick. Calvin Ridley going off of the 3-2. I'm really high on him this year. There's a lot of volume in Atlanta. The argument is Kyle Pitts is the bigger body. He'll take a lot of those Julio touches, but I think Calvin Ridley is a very talented receiver. and he's shown his potential as a wide receiver one a few times when Julio's gone down. So I'm not against getting him in the third round as your wide receiver one after stacking 2 running backs. That's a really elite pick as well. DK goes off the board at 3-3, so it's clear Dave's stacking his receivers, and he's gonna, be a little bit negligible of the running back position going forward. The pool's getting thin, though, in my opinion. I'm starting to look at guys that I don't want to take. So if I don't get sniped here by Nick, I know who my guy is at the 3-5. According to ADP, it's a bit of a reach, but again, it hasn't adjusted yet. So, and I like his situation more than a Swift, even though Swift will have a lot of passing volume, in my opinion. So I'm really hoping I could target my guy right here. And then I'll start looking at receivers in the 4th round. He's pondering a little bit. I predict a Josh Jacobs. Now, this is the first pick. Me and Otto have both been on this train. The volume isn't there. Kenyon Drake has been signed. In the 3-4 spot, I'm not high on taking a guy like Josh Jacobs. I feel like that's more of a name pick over who's actually on the board. I'm going to go ahead, take my boy James Robinson here. I feel like I would make the bet that James Robinson finishes higher than Josh Jacobs on the year, just based on the volume he'll be acquiring. So I'm really feeling my first 3 picks that I've made. I like where my team's stacked. I feel like I have positional advantage at running back and flex spot. And now I could go start targeting my wide receivers unless something crazy happens and Miles Sanders makes it around to the 4th, which I don't think he will, especially with Mitch riding Mahomes and Kelsey to start. Auto acquires Kittle, takes the last big tight end off the board. So I will definitely be waiting on tight end now going forward. Let me start targeting my wide receivers. Justin Jefferson won't make it around. A.J. Brown won't make it around. But a guy like Terry, his stock went up because Curtis Samuel's dealing with some injury. There is Allen Robinson still out there who'll probably make it around. There's Keenan Allen as well. CD's out there, but I feel like that's a lot of mouths to feed in Dallas, and for redraft purposes, I'm not really targeting him. Got sniped. Terry McLaurin off the board at 3-8. Before A.J. Brown is kind of surprising. Before Justin Jefferson is kind of surprising, but, the rumors getting out, man. People are getting high on Terry. David Montgomery at the 3-7 is great value as well. I feel like that offense is going to be clicking with Justin Fields at quarterback eventually. And even with Andy Dalton playing the quarterback role the first few weeks, I feel like he will show his value there. Keenan ahead of A.J. Brown and Justin Jefferson. Okay. I'm a little bit surprised. I feel like we're banking on just volume with those 2 receivers and not the top end potential of scoring or youth. But again, this is a redraft league, so I'm not hating on taking the certainty or the more volume over the youth in this case. And they have the picks coming around, so they could very well still acquire like a Justin Jefferson on the turn or A.J. Brown on the turn. Excuse me. So, again, not hating the pick. We're back at the 3-10. Mitch has no running back yet. Running backs on the board. Swift, which I feel like easy cop right there. He could probably hit Swift Carson. He could hit Swift Sanders. He could stack Mike Davis Swift. There's options still there, but if he skips taking 2 running backs here, I feel like he's putting his team at a great disadvantage going forward from those two positions especially. So we're seeing how that'll pan out for him. He's thinking. Also, if you guys are tuning into the videos, drop some of what your rosters look like in the comment section below. I know the following is still pretty small, but I'd like to see what you guys have been working on, what you got going on with your fantasy leagues. If it's a money league, if it's a free league, if it's dynasty, we'll be bringing you a lot of fantasy content coming this year because this is something that we're really passionate about, especially this point in the year when NFL football is back. So just send your drafts, comment what your rosters look like, all that. So he goes wide receiver, running back, A.J. Brown and Chris Carson at the 3-10 and 4-1. Interesting strat. I think his team is very solid, but again, just based on how I enjoy to build my teams, I wouldn't necessarily go in that direction. But again, AJ Brown's a elite level talent when healthy. He has been dealing with some knee injuries resurfacing. They said he had to get another cleanup surgery on his knee. Not something you like to hear going into the season. Chris Carson has had a pretty quiet offseason in terms of injuries, which you love to hear because when he's healthy, he's pretty much a workhorse in Seattle. Rashad Penny's supposed to be his backfield mate, but he hasn't really been showing out at all. He's been trying to get healthy himself, so there could be a lot of volume out there for Chris Carson. So I really think he's a great value at the 4-1 pick for sure. Value keeps falling to me. If this I can't get enough. I want to take Allen Robinson here, but again, if I wait on this crop of receivers, I could run out a Robert Woods and a Chris Godwin and a Cooper Kupp, a Deontay Johnson. You know, I'm all good with a T Higgins back here, a Brandon Ayuk back here. I even like Devontae Smith. I love Jerry Jeudy. I love Cortland Sutton. So I like these 5th to 7th round crop of receivers. I'm gonna take the value, man. I'm getting DeAndre Swift in the 4th round. Yes, there's bad news. They're saying that they're concerned about him for week 1. That's fine. He's 22 years old. I feel like he might not even have to be forced to start for me with the running backs I have now. So I'm gonna take the value. That's easy money for me. I could acquire all the other positional talent at the back end rounds. Quarterbacks you could wait on, wide receivers you could wait on, but I'm going to be so solid at the running back position that when somebody like Mitch loses Chris Carson to injury or something like that, God forbid, we're not betting on injuries, but if that happens, or if Barkley doesn't get the volume that we expect him to get, and you're left with JT and half the volume you expect from Barkley, I'm trotting out 3 solid RBs, and I have a potential top 15 RB on my bench. I could move him for pieces. I could move him for wide receiver talent. I could move him for a tight end talent. I could upgrade my quarterback if need be, which in single quarterback, you could pretty much stream quarterbacks if need be. You don't have to worry about that position necessarily. Since my pick, Allen Robinson goes off the board at 4-7. Solid value. Kyle Pitts goes really earlier than Hockenson. Not sure how I feel about it, but I understand. A lot of targets are out there in Detroit. I would ride on the side of taking Hockenson ahead of Pitts, but this pretty much solidifies that I'm not really reaching for my tight end here. I'm going to go with a late round tight end in this strat. Kyler Murray goes off the board 4-9, very solid. To be honest, I might target my first quarterback coming back around. There is a guy on the board that should not still be on the board. There's a few guys on the board that should not still be on the board, but if they make it around, I'm taking my first quarterback here in the 5th round, which would be crazy value. Julio at the 4-10, great value again. Do feel like it's a bit of a reach though. I assume this guy's going to take Lamar Jackson at the 5-1. Matt, would be surprised if you didn't. The rushing upside and the passing upside of a Lamar. I know Lamar's weapons have gotten injured in the preseason, but I feel like Rashad Bateman is going to catch his own halfway through the season. Mark Andrews is still a very solid option for him. So to get a guy like Lamar at the 5-1, I feel like that's easy money. Cade's probably not taking a quarterback for the rest of the 5th or 6th round. But, I mean, I'm looking at worst case scenario if I decide to take my quarterback this round. One of Lamar, Russell Wilson, Justin Herbert, Dak, or Aaron Rodgers. Can't go wrong with any of those guys. So we'll see who falls to me here. Again, I'm not really one to take quarterback early, but it's the 5th round. And the quarterback I could get here, I'm not really worried about my wide receiver 1 position necessarily, because if you look at the projections, we're talking difference of 10, 15 points. I could get high ceiling quarterback compared to looking at a Matt Stafford or rookies down here. Difference of like 50 points. So if everything breaks right for me, I could sneak a Lamar Jackson or even a Justin Herbert back here, which I feel like he's going to have an electric year. Let's see how this breaks, though. Amari Cooper and Cooper Kupp go off the board. Very solid receivers again. Waiting on receiver shows that dividend. I think I'm going to go ahead and just cover the first 5 rounds, and then I'll revisit the back 5 for some of those late sleepers I'll be targeting. So this video will be split in 2. It'll be early round picks, and then we'll go back and check our sleeper picks from this draft and assess that way. So stay tuned for part 2 of this video. But again, leave a comment. Based on how things are shaping up right now, whose team would you rather have? Otto starting off with Derrick Henry, Stephon Diggs, Kittle, and Sanders. I went Zeke, Najee, James Robinson, and Swift right off the bat. And I'm looking to target my quarterback right here to provide that high-end value. So let's see where we're at. Dave's definitely pondering the pick. I don't know if he's trying to sell or just not sure of who to take. He's a little bit unsure. Let's see. It's kind of wild to me that Lamar has slipped this far. But again, I think these guys are wisening up to the idea that it's single QB to stack that positional value. Tight end is a position that I'm really probably you're gonna see a lot of picks from at this back end part. There goes Gus at the 5'3", which if he gets the volume that he's projected, that's great value. They haven't really signed anybody yet as of recording. It's August 31st. They have Justice Hill on the roster who hasn't really shown much. They have a new guy that they're running as the running back 2. I can't even remember his name right now. But he's been getting more touches. He's a little bit more of a speedy guy, electric, not really downhill runner like that, but he has usurped a guy like Justice Hill on the depth chart, it seems. So Gus Edwards could be in for a lot of volume, and if he is, then it's wheels up for a guy like that. Okay, so I have Lamar staring me in the face, and my decision is between Lamar and Justin Herbert. I am going to take Lamar Jackson because he should not still be on the board. He should not. And I feel like Otto's going to target a Justin Herbert or a Russell Wilson here because, again, you can stack those receivers late, and Otto already has his wide receiver 1. He has his 2 running back set, so he'll probably go ahead and target a quarterback here. And there is great quarterback talent in this 5th round, and based on us waiting, we're able to shore up other positions. I'm really intrigued to see if he takes a quarterback here. I feel like it's a done deal. It's going to be a quarterback. That boy's probably looking at his phone at work right now like, Justin Herbert's still on the board? Yes, please. Or he's a big fan of Chris Godwin as well, who Evans before Godwin, kind of interesting dichotomy there because Evans plays a big part in the touchdown scoring role for the Tampa Bay Bucks, but Godwin's a lot more of the chain mover, even though I feel, I'm a big Antonio Brown guy this year. I feel like AB is going to move the chains a ton for that roster. So it's interesting to see somebody go Mike Evans over that guy, but 7 straight 1,000-yard receiving years, you can't really argue with that kind of production. So again, can you really go wrong right there? A guy like Tom Brady is who I really target, though. He's going to benefit the most from having the trio wide receivers and Rob. So again, with waiting on quarterback a little bit more, that's who I would target. But I believe Lamar Jackson is going to continue that MVP type play that he's been on the last few years, and his rushing upside is crazy. So, and especially with what the weapons are looking like to start the year, I feel like he'll be a big benefit on the rushing side of the ball. So, had to take him at the 5-5, and I'm liking my roster right now. I don't have to worry about the running back position necessarily unless value falls to me, and now I can start stacking up a lot of these wide receivers. And I know one's gonna go for something crazy. One's gonna boom. To begin the second video, I'll probably revisit the rounds that we skip in between, just to give a slight overdraft on what happened, if there were any trades, if there were any moves made, if any positions kind of got a run going necessarily. But I'm definitely going to close this one out at the 5-10. and then we'll pick back up probably around the 10 or 11th round. We'll see. I'm playing it by ear, but we're stopping after the 5th round. Otto takes Kareem Hunt. I am surprised. Top 15 running back talent in a split backfield, so the volume won't necessarily be there, but if Nick Chubb goes down, it's wheels up for a guy like Kareem Hunt. Mark Andrews goes off the board at the 5'8". Chris Godwin goes off the board at the 5'7". Solid picks again. I didn't think Chris Godwin would make it around to the 6th round. Again, looking at my wide receivers, I have my pick of the litter. I am fading a guy like Tyler Lockett. Adam Thielen's not really high on my draft board either, but it's redraft. I don't hate it too much. DJ Moore, I'm a little bit worried about Sam Darnold this year. He looked good in preseason, but I feel like it's still a shaky pick. Deontay Johnson's one of my favorite targets. Brandon Ayuk's one of my favorite targets in this space of the draft. We got news that Michael Thomas will be out until at least game 5. I'm not looking to acquire any shares of him at this moment in time. I will be acquiring a guy like T. Higgins also. I'm hoping to be able to stack my receivers crazy going forward. But again, there's quite a few people looking for receivers based on what they took so far. So we'll see. Robert Woods at the 5'9". And to close out the 5th round, I feel like Mitch has to lean more to a running back, and we'll see if he goes about it that way. The running back's still on the board. Daryl Henderson, again, a lot of people are high on. I'm kind of fading myself. I feel like that backfield is going to be a mess. Moz Gaskin's out there. His ADP's gone up and down this offseason from Malcolm Brown out touching him in the first preseason game. So his ADP went down to him getting the majority of touches in the second game. And then third game is kind of iffy. So at the 5'10", Mitch goes Tyler Lockett. Again, I'm not big on him, but to each his own. And he has crazy boom potential. A guy who could easily put up 153 touchdown stat line if things break right. He has a guy like DK taking a lot of pressure off of him. That run game takes a lot of pressure off of him. He gets a lot of one-on-one coverage, so you can't really fault it. And then at the 6'1", he goes Moz Gaskin, which again for his strat, great pick there. So this has been the first 5 rounds of our big money league, our $600 redraft single QB league, 6-point passing touchdown league. Thank you for tuning in. The second part of this video should be coming fairly soon, so we'll go to the back end and actually discuss the sleepers we acquire in the back end rounds of this draft. Review those middle rounds in a really short, concise way, and we'll see what the rosters shape up to be at the end. Thank you for watching. Thank you for tuning in. Please like, subscribe, and share, and we'll see you guys on the next one. Like Otto likes to say, all right, y'all boys.